ladies and gentlemen, this is your crypto investigator, Lightliger here, and today we are going to be talking about Elon Musk, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, and a bit of Ethereum as well, because there's been so many news happening in the last 72 hours or so. The markets have basically crashed due to controversial tweets made by Elon Musk, which we're going to be looking into in this video. Obviously, as always, if you like the content, make sure to share it, like it, comment below what you think about this and that. If you disagree or agree with me, obviously I'm up for debating about these things on a podcast or a comment section level, or you can join my Telegram and Discord communities. Well, let's kind of start with this Elon stuff first here. So right now, as you can see, Bitcoin is not doing very hot. It basically started to crash immediately when Elon was tweeting about it, and it's been a bit of a nosedive, but we have seen a bit of a recovery, at least in the current day. So what basically happened was Elon Musk made, well, a multitude of comments about Bitcoin, talking about, it's not enough renewable energy, and that's why I can't support it, because Tesla is all about renewable energies. And then there is people obviously being skeptic about Elon not being aware of it. I personally believe he was 100% aware what was going behind Bitcoin, and he was probably manipulating the prices of Bitcoin. So this is something I agree with a lot of people who have talked about that. So I don't believe that Elon was that naive about Bitcoin's reality behind, like, being not 100% renewable energy and the proof of work in general. But I do think that a lot of people who think that Elon knows a lot about cryptocurrency, I don't think he does. Outside from like the top 10 coins, he has probably a very low understanding of the highest tech right now in this space in terms of scaling and, green solutions. But he also made a comment regarding that Bitcoin is not decentralized enough. And a lot of people got triggered by this. A lot of maxis, obviously, and Cormax, and obviously you had your Michael Saylors, and he memed about them. And that's something I want to first talk about, the actual decentralization of Bitcoin here, because I think it's a good subject to start from. Regarding what I think about it. Most people probably already know what my thoughts about it, but I'm going to be showing you some facts. So let's start with kind of like the first of the 3 points. What are the forms of centralization in Bitcoin? Basically, there's 4. Number 1 is obviously, where does the machines come from? Because we also have to look into the ASIC machines, which rule the actual system. Those are used to mine. Secondly is the actual hash rates. Thirdly is actually the exchanges. And fourth is basically owners of Bitcoin. So basically, when we are talking about decentralization, that means the production of Bitcoin is decentralized, the tech is decentralized, and things like, obviously, the fifth thing, which I forgot to mention, is actually development, which indeed is centralized development as of right now. But let's kind of look into. So first of all, we have the ASIC machines here. And this is a statistic, a bit older topic, but I couldn't find anything newer. So the 4 largest ASIC machines in production right now are Micro, BT, eBank, Canaan, and Bitmain. And here are 2019 chart, and I don't believe this is much different for 2021. Only 5% are other. So you have 4 companies, basically 2, which are Bitmain and Micro BT, which own the market, okay? You are going to be using ASIC machines, 99% chance you're going to be owning one of these 4 machines produced by these 4 companies. Now, where are these companies actually based on? Where are the machines manufactured? So, what's Miner? First of all, a Chinese company. This is a Chinese company. You can see even Chinese letters on it. And they produce their machines on China. That's what's Miner. Canaan, also based on China, on Beijing, Chinese based and Chinese manufactured. eBank, also based on China. And also, in case you didn't know, Bitmain is also Chinese, which is the largest right now. So this means that basically 95% of ASIC machines, maybe even more, are produced in China. the money goes to China in ASIC machines. But not only that, you have obviously hash rates, which we're going to be talking about in a second. Now, there has been obviously movement in proof of work. You have two movements. You have ASIC resistance and ASIC pro. Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, and Bitcoin all are pro ASIC. So is Litecoin. So it is reasonable to say that these individuals who promote these specific coins are pretty pro-China. And I think it's kind of be said, if you are promoting ASIC machines or you're not against ASIC, you are pro-CCP. You're pro-China by promoting ASIC machines on eligible for mining. Now, this also supports the idea because where does the CPUs and GPUs are manufactured? So NVIDIA, which is obviously the largest, alongside with AMD, is in Taiwan. Who's Taiwan? Taiwan is the biggest enemy of China, okay? The biggest rivals in the world, okay? And obviously China has beef with America, but it's nothing compared to Taiwan. Taiwan and China are arch enemies, okay? And people who don't know the history, go look it up. So basically, NVIDIA and GPUs and CPUs are basically, I mean, not CPUs, but GPUs are manufactured in Taiwan by Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. And obviously NVIDIA does also chips, I mean ASICs, but these ASICs are not for mining Bitcoin. There are ASICs for like AI stuff or something like that, if I remember right. Now, as for AMD, also based in Taiwan, and they're done in Malaysia. I don't know Malaysia's relationship with China, but it's Taiwan-based company. So you have clear distinction between here, as you can see, as I've shown you, that CPU and GPU is manufactured in Taiwan mostly, at least these two biggest ones on the GPU side. And so basically ASIC is pro-China and everything else is like Taiwan and other places where they're basically manufactured. So there's a clear political alignment here when we are talking about pro-ASIC and non-ASIC. Next up, we have to talk about the hash rates. So 65% of global Bitcoin hash rate is concentrated in China. So that is another point which leads into that centralization argument where, okay, if you own 65%, means you can do a 50% one attack. And people say, well, these are private-owned companies and blah, blah, blah. In China, things are a bit different. Basically, if CCP says your company now is part of the Chinese government, then it fucking is. So at any point, there can be a situation where the CCP will take over all the mining equipment, or they can ban the ASIC production for it. And they can do many things on ASIC policy, mining policy, or taking over so many ways that basically manipulate the ways this hashing rate is going to be going. So China has incredible amount of power when it comes to controlling Bitcoin, and basically most of these people are Chinese puppets in the end of the day, because even in the Bitcoin community, there's literally nobody resisting ASIC machines, which also suspects that there might be people who are getting money from CCP or other organizations. It can be directly from Bitmain paying money to pump and, you gotta tell about Bitcoin, man, and, we're gonna be sending you a check every month. This is totally, possible. Then comes the argument of green energy, how much that is green energy. I'm not really interested in that because I'm a climate nihilist in the end of the day. I don't really care about where is climate going to in the end of the day. Also, like, this is the hash rate. This is done by University of Cambridge. Should be, at least a decent source in a lot of ways. And yeah, you have the Sichuan province, which I think has 13% of all hash power, which is using hydro energy. So Bitcoin being partially green is true. But still, proof of work has its problem. Inherently, it's centralized because the money flow goes to China throughout the individual hashing power and the machines which are powered in China. Now, the last point I want to talk about here, because we already kind of went through all the points, and going through the individual addresses is just not like really worth it. So what are the exchanges at? Where are the exchanges based? Because that's where a lot of the money also flows into. Hacks and, individual users using the exchanges, exchange fees, and etc. And Now the exchange field is not so centralized, really. You have Binance, and Binance is multinational. Xiaoping Shah is born in China, but his family was exiled for being too pro-bourgeois, and basically they were kind of anti-communists. And well, China is really a state capitalism. People who are saying it's Chinese is like communism. It's like, okay, you don't know anything. Coinbase and Kraken obviously are American. Huobi and Bithumb are Korean. But once you get out of the top 10, and especially Bitfinex, KuCoin, Gate are all Chinese exchanges. Bitstamp, I think, Chinese as well. CoinOne, Chinese. Gemini's American. Bittrex, American. Poloniex, Chinese. OKEX, I think, Chinese. So when you get into this like lower big one, ZB, Probit, Asbit, previous Bitmax, when you get into these are MCX, OKCoin, Bitbank, CoinList, Coinbit, Bitwell, XT, CoinX, all Chinese. So a lot of the top tier ones are actually very mix of American, Korean, and then you have Binance on the mix. But when you go into a lot of these, what I would deem like third tier, second tier exchanges, it's incredibly Chinese heavy. So you have to like take into account of like overall, there's no statistics on somebody looking into how much the volume happening in Chinese exchanges and by nationality. So that's a very important thing to also assess here. Even though the top 10, I would say, is a decentralized bunch, but when you put all the exchanges together, how much of the trading actually happens on Chinese soil is a very important thing. So this is my case about Bitcoin being centralized. I believe that because all the things I've demonstrated here you in this video already, from the development and everything else regarding it. And also there's the block size thing, which goes into the political things and a bit more tinfoil hat stuff, which I will not go into because it's not really a big concern here. But that's kind of being there to prop up the layer 2 stuff. This gets into the thing of Dogecoin. Now, Dogecoin is a one-to-one copy of Bitcoin. I learned that actually recently. I thought that it had something different from Bitcoin. I initially actually thought it was a Litecoin fork, but no, it's actually one-to-one copy, and the block size is 1 MB. And the block size basically means, well, it limits the transactions in terms of the price. So that's why Bitcoin prices are so high per transaction, because they have been so stubborn of scaling that 1 MB block. And there has been citations on security issues and things like that. Bitcoin Cash, if I remember right now, has 16 MB or is it 8 MB block size right now, and Bitcoin SV is going to be like making 2,000. And Bitcoin Cash has no problems. There are many blockchains which have block sizes of 4, 5, 6, 8 times higher than Bitcoin and had zero problems so far. So that type of argument that is being made is mostly bullshit. I mean, it's mostly bullshit. Now, Elon wants to increase the block size to 10 MB for Dogecoin. And what are you talking about? Elon? What, is Elon part of Dogecoin? Yes. Elon has been working with Doge since 2019. And that kind of goes into what he did with Bitcoin. He pumped and dumped it, basically. And he has been secretly working with Dogecoin. And this is why I guess he has been under SEC investigation. He totally should be, because he has obviously grown investment since 2019. He has accumulated Doge, and now he's pumping it, basically. And basically what Dogecoin is doing right now is, understand this, Dogecoin is one-to-one carbon copy of Bitcoin right now, except the blocks are infinite. I mean, sorry, the supply is infinite, so there's not going to be max supply like Bitcoin has. This change will basically increase the block size to 10x, meaning, I don't know, the average Doge transaction might be 0.2 Doge right now, probably, with this big thing going on. And basically, when it's 10 times size, it will become pretty affordable. It will become more affordable than Bitcoin Cash. So we're going to be seeing sub 1 cent fees on Dogecoin transactions. And they are going to be building smart contracts. What are smart contracts able to do? Perhaps they do a meme platform or DeFi into it, create tokens under it, many things. But as an investment into Dogecoin, this is a bullish signal. This is a bullish signal, obviously. And I'm not selling my Doge right now, because if it becomes available to support smart contracts, it could be worth $1. Obviously, you have to understand the inflation curve does go down for Doge over time. And I think a lot of Doge has been lost. I lost a couple of accounts which had hundreds of Doge, and I'm very sad that I have lost them. Now would have been a crazy time to actually recover them. But yes, they are developing right now again, because there's been hype and money behind it, basically. They didn't take money from Elon. That's important to understand here as well. Now, the response from other people have been, such as Jack Dorsey, is now there's a bit of a movement to make Bitcoin more greener. And this can be a form of using more green energy. But it doesn't matter if the energy is green if the same ASIC machines are going to be worked underneath, guys. So, understand that. So it will not become any decentralized if there's going to be more green energy used, because the ASIC machines are still going to be used to mine. Because CPUs and GPUs have so bad rates for Bitcoin right now, and the ASICs are so much stronger. So the overall, everything about, not just Bitcoin, guys, everything about proof of work is built for centralization, because ASIC machines can be, you can limit where they're imported as countries, you can patent them so nobody can create another machine like that, and electricity costs are different in all around the world. So proof of work is designed to favor countries which have cheap electricity or excess electricity, and also cheap electricity overall. And, you know, people who can actually afford to build and buy ASIC machines, like China, and then you have your Russia, and then you have a couple of other Eastern European countries. But overall, there are a lot of countries in Africa who don't have the electricity and don't have the money to buy those ASIC machines. So the centralization will always go towards China, because they will have a competitive edge, and these other countries, but they don't have the same amount of manufacturing power as China does. So everything about proof of work is eventually leading into China, because most of that stuff is there, you know, enhanced. Maybe we could argue that some of the money will flow for Taiwan, you know, from Monero, because Monero uses CPU and GPUs. But understand this, the dynamic, the political dynamic here, the manufacturing countries and etc. This is the fact behind it. And lastly, I want to talk about this Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin dumping the SHIB coin. And a SHIB, I do hold it still, and because there's things building up, but obviously it took a huge crash once Vitalik rug pulled and then sent 1 billion to COVID relief fund in India. And who, by the way, owns this India COVID crypto relief fund, you might ask? Well, happens to be no other than, scrolling, Sandeep Nawal, who is the CEO of Matic. Matic was building layer 2 solution for Ethereum, and I believe Matic has received money from the Ethereum Foundation. So understand that this is not like, oh, random donation thrown. You're giving money to a literal billionaire. And people are praising in Reddit, oh, Vitalik is a god socialist. Oh, this great socialist giving money to people in need. And I'm goddamn, I'm reading this. This is the reason I did this video, because I read those fucking Reddit comments, and people are so dumb about, you know, not understanding decentralization and yada yada yada. And this is the situation. And also, Ethereum ASIC machines are built by Bitmain. So it is also Chinese-based chain. I think it will get better as the proof of stake portion comes out, and when it comes, maybe it will be a relevant chain by then. But yeah, Bitcoin is centralized coin. That is what I'm trying to say. And also, Elon Musk, not a great person, pump and dump artist. Never trust celebrities outside of Bitcoin cryptocurrency scene to lead your fucking movement. That doesn't make any sense. People have been praising Michael Saylors and Gary V's and all these people, and they're gonna fuck you over, they're gonna pump and dump on you, and then they get the fuck out of the industry. And that's what they've been doing here. Don't trust these people. Don't trust the outsiders. Trust the people who have been building there. Not necessarily since 10 years, because they have turned to maxis and are very hostile against interoperability and actual decentralization, but the people who have been here for a long time, like me. Well, I haven't been that long, but essentially trying to push for decentralization, try to push for financial exclusivity, inclusivity, sorry guys. But I'm not going to blab any longer because this will become too long of a video. I thought I would be sharing my thoughts about this because it's a topic close to my heart, and I really wanted to have a voice concerned on this opinion, which is not necessarily very, I wouldn't say it's not a popular, but there's nobody talking about this aspect of it. Yeah, subscribe, like, blah, blah, blah. See you soon.